My name is Emmanuel Cerf. I'm the CEO, President of Film Source Packaging, also the CEO of Polypack. Polypack manufactures packaging equipment that use plastic films that we all know is really good for our planet. And alongside, we sell film with Film Source Packaging. So today, I'm here to talk to you about a closed-loop system. We've heard about closed-loop systems before. This is a system that will take shrink film and convert it into shrink film. Right? So it's a very unique system. The model right now is in Europe. It's not here in the United States, even though we can sell this film here in the United States today. So let's see here. We got the clicker. I'm in Florida, so we have beautiful manatees. Polyethylenes account for 30% of the plastic market. And that's polyethylene, packaging polyethylene. So anything that you see around a Coke tray for distribution mainly, from the CPGs to the Walmarts to the Publix, that's 30% of the plastic market, which is huge. You wouldn't think it's that much, but it's very, very big. Here in Europe, they recycle about 31%. I heard France is closer to 50%. In the US, the slide says 6%. Miles said it was closer to 2%. It's very, very little. And this is a great figure because we have a lot of opportunity to do more, right? And I'm going to show you how we can do more. And the time to do more is today. These machines here are running 100% recycled film. So this is not, once again, film that can be recycled because it can, but it's film that is from 100% post-consumer recycled product. This process saves about 70% of the carbon impact. All right, which equals to about 300,000 trees. We need those trees to make paper, so it's a good thing, right? So how is this made? This is a facility that's relatively inexpensive, $3.5 million in the equipment, and the energy usage is also very low, right? 1,500 kilowatts, depending on where you are in the US, is between 10 and 17 cents a pound. So it's a very low energy facility. What we do is we take the plastic, so it's a closed loop system. So the key here, as we heard Miles say, recycling from households is almost impossible because everything is put into a trash can, then you have to sort it. In Europe, they sort the plastics from the garbage cans about 6 times, right? So it's way too expensive to do it. In my opinion, it's going to be very hard for it to ever happen. The best source is to take the plastic from the distribution centers, from a Walmart, from a Publix, like they do in the corrugated. When you take this plastic from the store, whether it's printed film or clear film, you bring it back to the warehouse, you grind it, you de-ink it. We have the only technology in the world that de-inks the film. You rinse it, you dry it, and then you make pellets from it, and on the same plant, we re-extrude the film. So it's really a closed loop system, and the water is also recycled. And it takes about 13 gallons of water for each ton of film. So first, the weight is collected, and that's the key, right? Is to be able to get those bales of plastic from the distribution centers. And then it's just sorted easily, right? We just have one sorting system. You take the colored film, you put it in the de-inking process. If it's not colored, then you don't have to de-ink it. You save a step. This is a de-inking process. We use solvents. We don't use solvents. We use detergents, right, to take the ink off. And we can de-ink film that has about 300% coverage of ink on the film. 300% because you have different layers of film, of ink on the film. Detergents are safer than solvents. In Europe, solvents are very hard to use. But in the waste category, you have about 2% of ink that you separate from the film only. So it's almost nothing. Then you dry it. You have a mechanical dryer, and then you have a heat dryer. Then you filtrate, purify, and then you make pellets. So this system will do about 12 metric tons a day, which is about 26,000 pounds a day. And then we re-extrude the film in the same facility. And if the film needs to be printed, we also have printers in the same facility that can print the film. How many of you here use recycled film in your operation? Well, it's hard to see. One? Is it 100% recycled? 20%? Yeah. So this film, I'll show you an example here. It looks just like a regular film, right? Printed, just looks like a virgin film. And it can be processed about 10 times. So 10 times from the collection, the end products, the end pellets are analyzed to make sure that it can be reprocessed and re-extruded. But it's a film that can basically last forever, because when you pick up bales of plastic, some of it will be virgin plastic. So this is a European process, because in Europe, companies cannot use virgin plastic anymore. They have to use recycled plastic, or plastic with recycled contents, because they're taxed, right? And we're all wondering, how are we going to recycle? How are we going to recycle? Well, if we don't have a tax, or if it's not going to cost us money not to recycle, we're never going to do it. And that's what Europe is doing. What Europe is also doing is taking that money and reinvesting it into the recycling plants and financing it. So they're using that tax. It's costing the population of Europe money to be green, right? And that's really the only way, the only answer for me, is because just to build a plant, a recycling plant, and make money from it, it's very, very hard. But a recycled content film right now is about 20% more than a virgin film, right? If you call Film Source that has a table outside and say, I want to buy recycled film from you, it's going to cost you 20% more. And that's 100% recycled film. Is that affordable? It is absolutely affordable. Are you going to buy it? Absolutely not. Right? If it's 5% more, you're not going to buy it, because it's the cost. I know we're all lying to ourselves that we're green and that we want to make an effort, but when it comes to the purchasing of these products, very few people do it. Personal care do it, L'Oreal does it because they have a little bit more money. But the reality is that 20% more film is probably a penny or 2 pennies on a tray of Coca-Cola. B, it's A, B, C. I'm very, very basic. It's great for the environment, right? 84% lower carbon emission than corrugate paper? Absolutely, right? Not that paper is bad, and you need paper. There's a lot of things that plastic cannot do, but paper is heavy, right? You have to plant those trees. You got to water those trees. You got to process those trees. You got to do a lot of things to those trees, right? The Amazon, there's no more Amazon today, right? The Black Forest is struggling. So that's the problem, right? You still have petroleum. You're going to run out of petroleum. Recycling is the only way to do it. But at the end, it's going to be a source reduction. Whether it's paper, you use less paper, and you're always going to lose less material by using film, because it's much lighter and it's a lot easier to transport. Source reduction, if you recycle 10 times plastic, then you're not going to take it out of the ground, right? And source reduction is also trying to use thinner plastic, 2 mil versus 3 mil versus 1.5 mil. EPR regulations, they're great. I tried to look them up before I came up here, and I got confused because none of them are the same level, right? They all are doing different things. We heard that yesterday. It's very hard to figure out. Until you have a federal mandate, nothing is really going to happen, right? We have to do it ourselves, and one way to do it ourselves is to be able to have a closed-loop system recycling by picking up the film ourselves from the distribution center, bringing it into the plant, and recycling it. Compatible and clear? There's no problem. This film can be run on any types of shrink wrappers in the US, right? Whether it's our machines or our competitors' machines, there's no problem running it. I just spoke to Michael earlier, and he said, oh, our plant says we can't run recycled film. Nonsense. This film is of good quality. You can run it on existing equipment. So of course, Pack Expo in November, we will have packaging equipment there, and you'll be able to see recycled film, 100% recycled film run on our equipment. And if you go to the other booth of Film Source Packaging, you'll be able to see and talk to people from the plant in Europe, in France, and talk to them about more details about the plant. And this plant, we're going to build a plant next year here in the US. This will be the first one. And if some of you want to build plants in your state, you can come and talk to me. It's a very easy process, and we can get started. So this is the good news. So who's going to use recycled film now? 1, 3, 4, 5? We can all do it, right? We just have to do it. We have to go back to our facilities, and then we have to say, why don't you use this stuff? It's recycled.